There is a moment most people never notice. It happens at a dinner table, or in a group chat, or standing in a parking lot after work. Someone mentions the new apartment. Someone else talks about the car they just upgraded. A vacation gets referenced, a kitchen renovation, a neighborhood that's a little better than the last one. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, there's a quiet calculation happening. Not about money, but about position. About whether you're keeping pace. About whether staying still means falling behind. And if you haven't upgraded anything lately, the silence around your name feels loud. That moment, that specific social pressure, is one of the most expensive things most people will ever encounter. Not because of what it costs in one decision, because of what it costs across every decision for years, without anyone ever sending you a bill. Here's what the data says about what's actually happening in that room. When your income grows, it sends a subtle signal to your brain. You've earned the right to spend more. Even if you don't consciously think it, your behavior reflects it. That internal permission makes lifestyle inflation feel less like a mistake and more like a reward. And rewards are hard to say no to. Alpha gnome. This isn't weakness. It isn't a lack of financial knowledge. It's rooted in what psychologists call social comparison theory, first documented by Leon Festinger in 1954. Which found that humans have a fundamental drive to evaluate themselves against others. Upward social comparison, measuring yourself against people who appear to be doing better, creates a persistent pressure to close the gap through spending. Urban Institute. In other words, the upgrade wasn't really about the apartment. It was about not feeling like you were falling behind. And the people around you upgrading, they're running the exact same calculation, for the exact same reason. None of them are actually ahead. They're just spending to feel like it. Charlie Munger, who spent decades building one of the most successful investment partnerships in history, said something that cuts through all of this cleanly. He said the key to a good life is to deserve what you want, not to perform having it, not to signal it, to actually build it. That distinction between performing wealth and building it is exactly what separates the people who come out ahead from the people who look like they're ahead. Research on hedonic adaptation shows that humans quickly adjust to higher standards of living, and what once felt like a luxury soon feels normal. The problem is that while your happiness levels return to their baseline, your expenses stay permanently higher, creating long-term financial drag that most people never fully calculate. The new apartment felt exceptional for about 3 months. Then it became Tuesday. The car was exciting for one season. Then it was just the car. The excitement left. The payment stayed. And every month, money that could have been compounding somewhere useful was instead maintaining a neutral emotional state that the person would have reached anyway with their old apartment and their old car. That is not a small cost. A Federal Reserve report found that less than half of Americans earning between $75,000 and $99,999 saved any money whatsoever. And as many as 16% within that income bracket actually went into debt. Slow money movement. These are not low earners. These are people well above the national median. People who, by almost every external measure, should be building real financial distance. And yet, nothing is accumulating. Because every raise, every bonus, every income improvement gets absorbed into a lifestyle that was already calibrated to spend everything available. U.S. personal savings rates in mid-2025 hovered around 4%, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, compared to over 20% during the height of the pandemic lockdowns, when spending opportunities collapsed and the savings rate revealed what was actually possible. Knight Frank. The money was always there. The structure to keep it was not. Now here's what actually happens when you don't upgrade. Not the version that sounds like deprivation. not living below your means as some kind of sacrifice. The actual mechanical reality of what occurs when your income grows and your lifestyle doesn't follow it automatically. The first thing that happens is margin. Margin is the gap between what comes in and what your life costs to maintain. Most people close this gap immediately and involuntarily, not through a single large decision, but through dozens of small ones that feel completely reasonable. A better gym because you can afford it now. A nicer coffee because it's only a few dollars more. A slightly better version of everything because that's what progress is supposed to look like. Each one makes sense individually. Together, they eliminate the margin before it ever has a chance to do anything. When you don't upgrade automatically, that margin remains. And margin is not just a financial concept, it's an operational one. It changes how you make decisions. It changes which risks feel possible. It changes whether you can afford to wait for something better or whether you need to say yes to whatever is available right now because next month is already assigned. The second thing that happens is compounding, but the version most people underestimate. A $500 monthly lifestyle upgrade doesn't just cost $6,000 a year. It reduces your savings rate and extends your timeline to financial freedom by years when you factor in lost compounding. Each time lifestyle inflation takes hold, you're not just spending money, you're also extending the years you'll need to stay in a job before you can step away. Run that forward 10 years. Someone who resisted $500 a month in lifestyle upgrades and invested that amount at an 8% average annual return will have accumulated approximately $91,000 in a decade, not from a windfall, not from a lucky investment, from not upgrading, from the patience to let that money do what money does when you stop interrupting it. The people around them upgraded. Their apartments look better. Their cars are newer, their vacations are more photographable, and they are, quietly, significantly behind, not because they earned less, but because they kept less. There's a social cost to all of this that doesn't get discussed honestly. Not upgrading when everyone around you is upgrading feels, for a period, genuinely uncomfortable. There is real social pressure in those moments. Friends, co-workers, and even strangers online influence what you think is normal. If everyone around you seems to be leveling up, staying the same can feel like falling behind. That pressure quietly nudges spending higher without anyone making a conscious decision to spend more. Alpha gnome. The discomfort is real. The feeling of being out of step is real. The quiet wondering about whether you're being too cautious, too restrictive, too unwilling to enjoy what you've earned. All of that is real, and it passes. The upgrade excitement also passes, usually within a few months. The social pressure of not upgrading passes too. What doesn't pass is the difference in what has accumulated. That stays. That compounds. That becomes the gap between options and obligation 10 years from now. One last thing worth saying directly. The people in that room upgrading everything, most of them are not making a calculated decision. They are following a default. The default is income rises, lifestyle rises, savings stay flat. That default runs automatically unless something interrupts it. It doesn't require bad intentions or reckless behavior. It just requires not noticing. And most people don't notice until they look back at a decade of rising income and realize the number that actually matters barely moved. You not upgrading is not you falling behind. It's you interrupting the default. It's you making the one decision that almost everyone around you is not making. Consciously, deliberately, with full awareness of what stays in your account when the upgrade doesn't happen. They upgraded their apartments. You upgraded your position. Those are not the same thing. And in 10 years, the difference will be visible in exactly the way the upgrades never were.